This is round 14, the last afternoon prelim round at the 2019 NAQT High School National Championship Tournament. This game pits the 2 card against the 4 card. From Texas, we have Carnegie Vanguard, and from New York, we have Hunter A. Both teams are ready to go. Best of luck to both teams. Here's toss-up 1. This man defeated Chilperic II and the Frisians at the Battle of Amblave during a civil... Yes,
Charlemagne.
Nick 5. During a civil war that began after he was imprisoned by his mother Plectrude. This leader used a square formation hidden within a hilly forest to reduce the effectiveness of Muslim cavalry in a 732 victory. The Umayyad general Abd al-Rahman lost the Battle of Tours, too, for 10 points. What grandfather of Charlemagne nicknamed the Hammer? Yes.
Charles Martel.
10 bonus. People in this city adopted Lusvig, an IKEA toy wolf whose name sounds similar to a vulgar slang phrase, as a symbol of protest. For 10 points each, in this city governed according to the one country, two systems framework.
Just Hong Kong. Yeah.
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong's autonomy has decreased since its transfer from this colonial power to China in 1997.
The UK.
So I should say the UK.
Yeah.
The UK.
Yes. A series of 2014 Hong Kong pro-democracy protests were nicknamed for these accessories used to block pepper spray.
Umbrella. Yeah.
Umbrella.
30. Toss-up 2. The original name of this restaurant chain, founded by Jim Disbrow and Scott Lowry, referenced its menu offering a sandwich of beef on weck. Since 2014, this restaurant has sponsored college football's Citrus Bowl. An ad campaign for this restaurant featured bartenders using control modules to force NFL games into overtime. For 10 points, what sports bar chain known for its... Yes.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
10 bonus. For 10 points each, answer the following about Icelandic composer Jóhann Jóhannsson. He wrote the soundtrack for The Theory of Everything, a film about this British physicist who suffered from ALS and died in 2018.
Hawking. Yeah.
Hawking.
He also wrote the music for this 2016 sci-fi film in which Amy Adams studies the language of heptapod aliens nicknamed Abbott and Costello.
Arrival.
Yeah. Arrival.
Johansson's work on Arrival was one of his many collaborations with this French-Canadian director of Sicario and Blade Runner 2049.
Who directed it?
I don't know.
Anyone?
Answer?
Make a guess.
Ridley Scott.
Villeneuve. 20 points, toss-up 3. This TV network's Arabic branch, which is its most popular on Facebook, employs former Saddam Hussein state TV presenter Salam Musafir. This network, whose English-language financial presenter is ardent... Yes.
Al Jazeera.
Nick 5. Is ardent Bitcoin advocate Max Kaiser, uses the slogan "Question More" and agreed in November 2017 to register as a foreign agent in the U.S. For 10 points, name this Russian state TV network known by a 2-letter acronym. Yes.
RT.
10 bonus. A political cartoon about this scandal showed Uncle Sam demanding his samurai, including James A. Garfield, commit seppuku. For 10 points each, name the scandal in which Vice President Schuyler Colfax and dozens of congressmen received stock in a sham construction company set up by the Union Pacific Railroad.
Credit Mobilier.
Yeah.
Or Whiskey Ring.
Probably Credit Mobilier.
Yes.
Answer?
Credit Mobilier.
Among those implicated was this New York senator, a leader of the Stalwarts whose political machine included Chester Arthur.
Conkling.
No, it's the guy who put
Answer?
Arthur there.
Defer to Arnov.
No answer. Roscoe Conkling. The New York Tribune accused this man, who was Speaker of the House in the early 1870s, of being involved in the scandal. He served as Secretary of State under 3 presidents.
I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
Answer?
Hull.
James G. Blaine. 10 points. Toss-up 4. This photographer captured a man resting a tin cup between his arms at a place run by Lois Jordan. An old man carries his grandson on his shoulders in one of this photographer's pictures from Manzanar internment camp. Yes.
Adams.
Nick 5. A portrait by this photographer of White Angel Breadline shows Florence Owens Thompson with her 2 children holding her hand to her chin. For 10 points, name this photographer of migrant mother. Yes.
Lange.
10 bonus. For 10 points each, answer the following about weathering. Weathering is the breakdown of soil or other materials in situ, unlike this process in which materials are moved and transported to another location by phenomena like water flow or wind.
So erosion.
Erosion.
Haloclasty is weathering caused by the mineral form of this substance.
Water.
No.
Answer?
Ice, maybe?
Water.
Salt. This silicate mineral, whose varieties include phosphorite and phyolite, readily undergoes weathering to Iddingsite.
Daniel? You got anything?
Answer?
Defer.
Gypsum.
No, olivine. 10 points, toss-up 5. This author imagined the eyes of boys from which shine the holy glimmers of goodbyes in a poem whose title originally contained the word dead until it was changed by a fellow patient at Craig Lockhart Hospital. This poet asked what... Yes.
Wilfred Owen.
15 bonus. For 10 points each, answer the following about literary depictions of William Jennings Bryan. Many scholars postulate this author satirized Bryan as the Cowardly Lion in The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Bomb. Yeah.
Defer.
Bomb.
Bryan was the model for Matthew Harrison Brady, the anti-evolution antagonist of this play that dramatizes the Scopes monkey trial.
I don't know.
Answer?
Defer.
No answer.
Inherit the Wind. Brian was glorified in Brian, 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 a poem by this author of Abraham Lincoln Walks at Midnight and The Congo.
I don't know this.
Abraham Lincoln Walks at Midnight.
I don't know. Whitman.
Answer?
Whitman.
Vachel Lindsay, 10 points, toss-up 6. Necessary conditions for this task are given by the Conway criterion. This task can be performed using kites and darts in an aperiodic fashion, as discovered by Roger Penrose. Triangles.
Tessellation?
That is
Nice.
10. Bonus. In 1872, this man was nominated for vice president by the Equal Rights Party. For 10 points each, named this abolitionist who wrote My Bondage and My Freedom. And in
Douglas.
In 1847, Douglas founded this anti-slavery newspaper.
No, what's it called?
Northern
North
Star.
North Star.
Yes. In this 1852 speech, Douglas claimed that the title holiday revealed to a slave the
Fourth of
gross
July.
injustice and
What to
cruelty
the-
to which he is a
what
constant
to
victim.
the slave is 4th of July.
What to the slave is the 4th of July?
30. Toss-up 7. About 5 miles south of this region is the civilian control line. In 1976 is Operation Paul Bunyan. Over 8... Yes.
The DMZ.
15. Bonus. For 10 points each, answer the following about the isoniazid. It treats about isoniazid. It treats this illness caused by a mycobacterium whose sufferers often cough up blood.
Tuberculosis?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Tuberculosis.
It blocks synthesis of the cell wall, much like this class of antibiotics that includes penicillin. These drugs are named for a functional group with a 4-membered ring.
Beta-lactams.
They've heard of Daniel.
Beta-lactams.
It inhibits a subfamily in the P450 group of these heme-containing enzymes whose C type is released from the mitochondria during apoptosis.
Keep going.
Cytochrome.
Answer?
Cytochrome.
30.
Nice.
Toss-up 8. A movement of this piece depicts a girl asking, "Shopkeeper, give me color to make my cheeks red." A creature sings, "Once I lived on lakes, once I looked beautiful," in a song from this piece's second section, In the Tavern. This piece, which includes a song for a roasting swan, begins and ends with a movement that compares the ever-waxing and waning moon to fortune. Yes.
Carmina Burana.
10. Bonus. In a 1955 novel, one of these locations is controlled by a group of Futuwat, or strongmen, who are the foes of Arafa. For 10 points each, name this type of location. Another of these locations is the title setting of a 1947 novel whose large cast includes the cafe owner Kirsha and the dentist Dr. Bushi.
Is this a concentration camp? Concentration camp.
Alleys. Those novels, Children of Gabalawi and Midak Ali, were written by this Egyptian author of a trilogy that begins with Palace Walk.
Mahfouz.
All 5 of the aforementioned Mahfouz novels are set largely or entirely in this Egyptian city.
Alexandria. No, is it Cairo?
Cairo.
20. Toss-up 9. A captain named Arioch is about to execute men for failing to do this action when Belteshazzar halts him. After a man performs this action in Genesis, a chief baker is hanged in Egypt. Yes.
Like interpreting dreams?
15. Bonus.
Nice.
In 1999 BC, in 99 BC, this man accepted castration rather than death in order to finish his life's work. For 10 points each, this Chinese scholar who wrote the records
Sima
of the
Qian.
Yes. The monographs section of the records contains a history of this art form in China, which traditionally uses a pentatonic scale and may be performed...
Music.
I'm sorry?
Music.
Yes. Sima Qian's account of this early Chinese dynasty, which followed the legendary Shah dynasty.
Shang.
That's 30. Toss-up 10. The events of this TV show are overshadowed by a 2013 terrorist event in Dallas known as 7/15. At the end of the show's second season, it was revealed that Clarice, who is played by Jamie Chung, was still alive, though she had been shot... Yes.
Eighth of Field.
Nick 5. Though she had been shot by Jace Turner while trying to protect the Morlocks. The teenage siblings, Lauren and Andy Strucker, discover they have special powers in, for 10 points, what Fox series about mutants? Yes.
Stranger Things.
The Gifted. Toss-up 11. Thomas C. Sharp was among 5 men acquitted of carrying out this event. At the time, this event's target was running for president on a ticket with Sidney Rigdon. During this 1844 event, its target and his brother Hiram fell from a window after being shot. The destruction of the Nauvoo Expositor News... Yes.
Assassination of Joseph Smith.
That's 10. Bonus. For 10 points each, answer the following about the NBA draft lottery. The first
great.
lottery was won by this Manhattan-based team, which used the first pick of the 1985 draft on Patrick Ewing.
Knicks.
Yes. Prior to the lottery, the NBA used a coin flip to determine who would get the first pick. The last such flip was won by this team, which took Hakeem Olajuwon.
The Rockets.
In 1993, 3 years after the NBA adopted a weighted lottery system, this team won the lottery despite having the worst odds. It was swept by the Rockets in the 1995 NBA Finals.
Orlando Magic.
30. Toss-up 12. This city was where a form of African hip-hop called Kwaito developed in the 1990s. This city, which is 30 miles south of an archaeological site called the Cradle of Humankind, was founded amidst a late 1800s gold rush in the Witwatersrand. Its Black Township of... Yes.
Cape Town?
Nick 5. Of Soweto was the site of a 1976 massacre of students protesting apartheid. Pretoria lies north of, for 10 points, what most populous city in South Africa? Yes.
Johannesburg.
10. Bonus. The density of these charges within a material equals the negative of the divergence of the polarization. For 10 points each, give this term for electric charge that is not free to move around.
Set maybe, or
Answer?
stationary?
Constrained.
Bound charge. Bound charges show up when studying these polarizable insulators, which are often found between the plates of capacitors.
Dielectric.
When ignoring bound charge, one must use the displacement field in this law from Maxwell's equations, which relates the divergence of the electric field to charge density.
Pick one.
Answer?
First.
Differ.
First.
No, Gauss's law. Gauss's law.
Oh.
So that is 10 on the bonus, and that's the half. At the half, the score is 195 for Carnegie Vanguard, 135 for Hunter, and this is toss-up 13. This kind of variable is commonly swizzled during deserialization, such as when loading data from disk. Yes,
Pointers?
15 bonus.
Nice.
This character leaves Dallin's home in despair after hearing that Dallin's daughter had deserted Eric. For 10 points each, need this title character of an 1843 opera whose curse can only be broken by finding a faithful wife.
Marriage of Figaro.
No.
Answer?
I don't know.
Figaro.
The Flying Dutchman. This young woman, Dallin's daughter, kills herself out of love for the Dutchman, thus breaking his curse.
This is. I don't know anything about it.
Guess a name.
Answer?
Ariel.
Cinta. This German composer of The Flying Dutchman claimed it was partly inspired by his sea journey from Riga to London.
Wagner.
Differ.
Wagner.
10. Toss up 14. Several of these poems include quotations from the book 30 Years' View by Thomas Hart Benton. The line bearing the golden bough of Agicida, so that, ends the first of these poems, a translation of part of the Odyssey. The 45th of these poems is a litany against usura, or usury, a theme that recurs in the Pisan section of these poems. Yes.
The cantos?
10. Bonus.
Nice. Let's
Psychiatrist
go.
Martin Dysart investigates a crime perpetrated on these animals by the sexually frustrated teenager Alan Strang. For 10 points each, these animals, the real-life blinding of 6 of them in Suffolk, inspired the plot of a Peter Schaeffer play.
If it's sheep. Again? Sure, sheep.
Horses. In a story by this author, the trainer John Straker is killed while trying to maim the prized racehorse Silver
This
Blaze.
is Conan Doyle.
The third British king of this name is killed by Henry Tudor after he loses his horse during the Battle of Bosworth Field. And
Richard.
That's 20. Toss up 15. Chief Makawa resisted colonial expansion in this modern-day country, as did the Maji Maji Rebellion. This country's first... Yes.
Tanzania.
15. Bonus. This dish is similar to the Chinese Maodan. For 10 points each, this controversial Filipino food that consists of a boiled duck egg containing a fertilized embryo.
I have no idea.
No idea what this is.
I have no
Does
clue.
anyone know some Filipino
Answer?
things?
Half-born chicks.
Balut. Balut is a popular street food in the Pateros neighborhood of this capital of the Philippines.
Manila.
Yes. Traditionally, ducks raised for balut in the Philippines were fed these animals. A French starter dish involves these animals cooked in garlic butter that is then used to fill their shells.
Snails.
20. Toss up 16. 2 atoms of this element were stabilized by bulky terphenyl ligands to make the first ever quintuple bond. This element has an electron configuration that ends in 4s1 3d5. Yes.
Oh, was it copper?
Nick 5,
No,
making
no,
it the
no.
lightest element with an exception to the Aufbau principle. Alloys of iron that are at least 10% this element are called stainless steel. For 10 points, what first row transition metal's name reflects its many colorful salts? Yes.
Manganese?
Chromium.
Don't
Chromium.
worry. Sorry.
Toss up 17. This family was targeted by the group Pain, founded by Nan Golden. One of this family's members writing that a sales blizzard would be deep, dense, and white prompted protesters to stage a 2019 die-in at the Guggenheim. In 2019,
Sackler?
Say that again, please.
Sackler?
That's 10. Bonus.
Nice.
This man oversaw the purchase of Rupert's Land from the Hudson's Bay Company. For 10 points each, named this first Canadian Prime Minister.
This is
McDonald.
What? Go.
I think it's
It is
McDonald.
McDonald.
Yes. MacDonald sent Garrett Wolseley to put down the Red River Rebellion, an uprising led by this man referred
Riel.
to... Yes. MacDonald resigned as prime minister over the Pacific scandal, which involved bribes from companies trying to build this type of transportation.
Railroad.
Prompt.
Transcontinental.
30 points.
Time
Toss up
out.
18. Time out.
Want to get a score check?
Come on.
All right.
Andy,
One sec. I'm going to go get my name card.
Who called that timeout, please?
I did.
Okay, over here.
We did.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Daniel.
Can
Oh,
we get a
thank you.
score check?
I was gonna mix up. I was mix up McDonald.
We will get a
and
score check as
Tennessee
soon as
State.
India has it ready.
Maji Maji, we did that in practice like yesterday.
We got 30. Yes.
Yeah.
220, 235.
Yeah, sorry
Yeah.
about the
Okay.
negs. I was buzzing on 3D and then I heard 5 instead of 10 and I flaked.
Well, I mean, it's just asking for like the.
You just have to subtract 5.
It's asking for like the third.
Yeah, I can't do that in 2 seconds.
It's asking for.
24
Wait, it's asking for the
I
third.
don't know the numbers.
Wait, it's asking for the third transition medal, right? Like,
And let's
if
click on the
it's.
I mean, I wouldn't have
No.
been able to get that.
No, if it's
It's the
the.
5th transition medal with D5.
I'm losing buzzer.
No, sorry, the fourth
Sixth,
transition
sixth,
medal. No, it's the
because-
fourth
and
because
Daniel,
you.
It is the 4th.
Because it's in.
All right, and that is about
Right, sorry.
It's
Yeah,
Vanadium
yeah.
then.
that is about the 30 seconds for the timeout. So, are both teams ready to continue?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Don't worry
Keep going, keep going.
220,
Sorry about
235?
that. Keep going.
Yes.
All right. Following the timeout, the score is 220 for Carnegie Vanguard, 235 for Hunter A, and this is toss-up 19.
18, yeah?
Did I skip 18?
We've played 17.
I
think.
did indeed accidentally skipped 18. I marked it out, and then you called timeout, and I thought I'd read it. I'm sorry. This will be toss-up 18.
Wait, can you just read the timer for us? Sorry, how much time is left?
Sorry.
5:53.
Okay. Yeah, I still
5:53.
can't.
53
Okay.
seconds.
I still
Why
can't
don't
see
we
the
start
seconds.
this all again. Sorry.
Still can't see the seconds count.
Can you tell it's round 14 at this point, guys? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
It's all right.
No
worry.
problem.
All right. 5:53 on the clock.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. With 5 minutes 53 seconds left on the clock, the score is Carnegie Vanguard 220, Hunter 235, and we are going into toss-up 18. In the Iliad, Achilles kills this goddess's son Memnon, the king of Ethiopia. This goddess fell in love with Hermes' Athenian son Cephalus and carried him off to Syria. This mother of the wind secured eternal life for her lover Tithonus, but forgot to ask for eternal youth. This sister of Selene and Helios is often described with the epithet rosy-fingered. Yes?
Eos.
10 bonus.
Nice.
At this kind of flame temperature, a material combusts with no shaft work. For 10 points each, give this term that describes a thermodynamic process in which no heat is exchanged between a system and its environment.
Differ.
Adiabatic.
In industry, this reaction is conducted in a so-called adiabatic shift reactor to avoid catalyst overheating and improve the conversion of carbon monoxide and water to carbon dioxide and hydrogen.
This process.
Yeah.
Mons.
Answer?
Differ.
Mon.
It's a water-gas shift. Since the water-gas shift reaction has a negative change in Gibbs free energy, it has this property, meaning it may proceed forward without the input of outside energy.
Thermodynamically
Spontaneous.
favorable.
Spontaneous, yeah.
Spontaneous.
That's 20, toss up 19. This phenomenon is symbolized by z, which has a positive value in the equation 1 plus z equals the current scale factor over the previous scale factor. The metric expansion of space yes,
Redshift.
15. Bonus? From 1624 until 1925, the city was named Christiania for 10 points each, in this European city that became a national capital under Hakon V.
Copenhagen.
Oslo.
Oh, is it?
Yo,
You sure?
turn off.
I'm pretty sure.
Answer?
Oslo.
Oslo was originally established as a trading post by this Norwegian king who died in England at the Battle of Stamford Bridge.
It's King.
Hydrada?
Hy-
No.
Harold.
Harold.
Answer?
I think so.
Harold.
Prompt.
I think you're right.
Harold
Hydrada.
Hydrada.
Yes. Many sidewalks in Oslo are inlaid with quotes from the plays of this Norwegian author who wrote A Doll's House.
So Ibsen. Yeah.
Ibsen.
30. Toss up 20. An ancient human skeleton found in the state's On Your Knees cave was eventually returned to a native group. A large molybdenum reserve is part of this state's Misty Fjords National Monument within its Tongass National Forest. A shipping...
Washington?
Yes. I'm sorry?
Washington?
Neg 5. A shipping route called the Inside Passage runs along the state's panhandle in its cities of Sitka and Skagway. For 10 points, what state's panhandle also includes its capital of Juneau? Yes.
Alaska.
10. Bonus. This English term is often used to translate the German noble title Freiherr. For 10 points each, give this term for an English peer of the rank directly below a viscount. Robert Fitzwalter led a 13th century revolt named for this noble rank.
Baron.
Baron. Yeah, you're right.
Baron.
The First Barons' War started after King John refused to honor this document signed at Runnymede in 1215.
So Magna Carta. Yeah.
Magna Carta.
The Magna Carta was annulled by this pope who feuded with John over the appointment of Stephen Langton as Archbishop of Canterbury.
I'm pretty sure this is Innocent 3.
Okay.
I think
differ.
so.
Answer?
Innocent the Third.
30.
Timeout.
Timeout? All right.
That was good.
Andy. Can somebody tell me how much time is left on the clock, please?
Gotcha.
3 minutes, 15 seconds left on the clock. India, whenever you're ready.
Okay, guys. Okay.
Can you like untangle that? My glasses are off.
All right.
Keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
Guys,
All right,
keep
guys.
going.
All right, guys. We have 4 more.
Just
We're
keep
going
going.
into toss
That
up
was-
21.
How
They
much time do we
mentioned
have left?
fjords, but
We have
like-
3:15
That
going into
could have been a
21.
lot of things. I was
right?
also thinking.
We are going into 21. Yes.
Okay.
So we have 3 minutes 20. We have 3 minutes 15 seconds left, and 4 toss-ups remain.
We can
Okay.
go slow, but we're probably
We
gonna
need
finish.
probably 1.
Tell me what to do.
Go slow.
Okay.
All right. That's about the 30 seconds for the timeout. Are both teams ready to resume?
Let's go, guys.
Yeah.
All right. 3 minutes 15 seconds left on the clock. All right. Best of luck, both teams. With 3 minutes 15 seconds left on the clock, the score is 330 for Carnegie Vanguard. 335. Sorry. With 3 minutes 15 seconds left on the clock, the score is 335 for Carnegie Vanguard, 230 for Hunter, and this is toss-up 21. In a 1956 experiment on this phenomenon, participants underwent severe initiations by saying sexual words. It is the focus of the effort justification theory of Aronson and Mills. The forced compliance model of this phenomenon was tested on subjects paid either $1 or $20 to claim turning pegs was fun by Merrill Carlsmith and yes.
Cognitive dissonance.
10 bonus.
Yes.
For 10 points each, answer the following about novels in which characters are created to serve as organ donors. In Margaret Atwood's Mad Adam trilogy, these animals gain intelligence after they are used to grow human organs. Napoleon is one of these creatures on
So
George
pig.
Orwell's
Pig.
Animal... I'm
Pig.
sorry?
Pig.
Yes. Kathy nurses her fellow clones as their organs are removed in this author's novel, Never Let Me Go.
Oh, Ishiguro.
Go.
Ishiguro.
Anna is conceived to save the life of her cancer-stricken sibling Kate in this Jodi Picoult novel, whose title is a modified reference to a question asked by the biblical Cain.
Am I my brother's keeper?
Or am I?
Answer?
Brother's keeper.
My Sister's Keeper, 20 points, toss-up 22. Simone Martini's miniature portrait of this woman is described in 2 poems by an author who met this woman in a church in Avignon. This woman may have been the wife of Hugues de Sade and may have had the surname de Noves. This woman's golden hair is flung to the breezes in an entry in a set of 366 sonnets and other poems. Courtly Love 4 for 10 points. What woman is the primary subject of... Yes.
Dark Lady.
Neg 5 is the subject of Petrarch's Il Canzoniere. Yes.
Laura.
10. Bonus. Pencil and paper ready. For 10 points each, answer these questions about 2 vectors whose magnitudes are 8 and 15, respectively. If the vectors point in the same direction, what is the magnitude of the vector that represents their sum?
23.
If the dot product of the 2 vectors is 0, what is the magnitude of the vector sum?
17.
If the 2 vectors form a 45-degree angle, what is the magnitude of their cross product? You have 10 seconds.
So it's sine theta is root 2 over 2. This times this times this. So that's 4 root 2. 60 root 2.
30 points.
Nice.
Toss-up 23. One of these animals names a problem of unrealistically low population densities and continuous predator-prey models. That one is the Atto one. Geneticist Dmitry Belyayev initiated an experiment to domesticate the silver type of these animals. Yes.
Wolves.
Neg 5. The silver type of these animals, a color morph of their common red species. Unusually large ears characterize the Saharan finnic species of, for 10 points, what small canines in the genus Vulpes? Yes. 10. Bonus. Daniel Dennett wrote a book named for this type of stance, a term that Dennett borrowed from the philosopher Franz Brentano. For 10 points each, what term describes the fact that mental phenomena are about or directed towards objects?
Physical.
We might get it. We might get lucky.
Answer?
Physicality.
Intentionality. Dennett's book discusses an eliminative form of this position, which is similar to physicalism. It holds that matter is the fundamental substance.
Atom is, I don't know.
Daniel.
Answer?
Atomism.
Materialism. Dennett also discusses a stance with this name. A common creationist argument for the existence of God is named for an intelligent form of this concept.
Design. No
Design.
creator.
10 points, toss-up 24. The second book in Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn trilogy is titled for one of these structures of ascension. Abraham built one of these structures at Beersheba that Abimelech took for himself. A cave under the Dome of the Rock is known as the structure of souls. Odin gained immense wisdom after drinking from... Yes,
Well-
10. Bonus. In 1982, this man partnered with Emory University to found a human rights organization called his namesake Center. For 10 points each, named this peace activist and recipient of the 2002 Nobel Peace Prize.
I have no idea. Is it? Yeah. Jimmy Carter.
Yep. The Carter Center advocates this type of solution to the Israel-Palestine conflict, which involves creating a separate country of Palestine.
Tuesday.
This other Georgia-based NGO, founded by missionary Millard Fuller, runs an annual blitz of activity called the Jimmy and Rosalind Carter Work Project.
Salvation Army? Do you think? Okay. Salvation Army.
Now, Carter does work for Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity. And that's 20 points. That's the game. Final score is Carnegie Vanguard 350, Hunter 325. Excellent game, both sides.